Welcome back to Aliyah and Chill. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the uniquely British experience of making Aliyah. Fair warning, this episode contains themes of cultural whiplash, weather withdrawal, and the tragic loss of proper queuing etiquette. So there I was, a perfectly civilized British Jew, sipping my Earl Grey and complaining about the weather when I decided to make Aliyah. How hard could it be? I'd simply transfer my polite, orderly British lifestyle to the sunny shores of the Mediterranean. It would be like a permanent holiday, but with better Jewish infrastructure. Oh, how charmingly naive I was. The first culture shock hit before I even left London. Brexit had turned UK passport applications into a Kafkaesque nightmare, but Israeli bureaucracy made British inefficiency look like a Swiss watch factory. I needed an apostille for my birth certificate, which required going to the Foreign Office, which was only open on Tuesdays between 2:17 and 2:23 p.m., and only if you'd sacrificed a proper cup of tea to the bureaucratic gods. "Excuse me?" I asked politely at the Foreign Office. "Might I possibly have an apostille for my birth certificate, if it's not too much trouble?" The clerk stared at me like I'd asked for the crown jewels. "Apostille? That'll be £75, mate. Takes 6 weeks." 6 weeks? In Israel, I would later learn, 6 weeks is how long it takes to argue about whether your application should take 6 weeks. The cultural preparation was woefully inadequate. I read guidebooks about Israeli directness, but nothing could have prepared me for the reality. British communication is like a carefully choreographed dance of politeness. "I'm terribly sorry, but I wonder if you might possibly consider perhaps thinking about maybe moving your car if it's not too much bother." Israeli communication is more like, "Move your car. Now." Why haven't you moved it yet? Are you waiting for a personal invitation from the Prime Minister? The weather adjustment was traumatic. After 30 years of complaining about rain, drizzle, and the occasional appearance of something resembling sunshine, I suddenly found myself in a country where it's actually sunny, consistently, for months at a time. I didn't know how to cope. What was I supposed to talk about? The weather was fine, always fine, beautiful actually. How do you start conversations when you can't bond over shared meteorological suffering? "Lovely weather we're having," I said to my new Israeli neighbor. "It's always lovely weather," he replied, looking at me suspiciously. "Are you feeling all right? Do you need water, shade, medical attention?" The queuing situation nearly broke me. 40 years of disciplined British queue formation, and suddenly I'm in a country where queue is apparently a suggestion rather than a sacred social contract. My first visit to the bank was traumatic. I politely joined what appeared to be a line, standing at a respectful distance behind the person in front of me. 20 minutes later, I was still in the same spot, while 17 people had somehow materialized ahead of me. "Excuse me," I said to the security guard, "but I believe there might be some confusion about the queuing system." "Queuing system?" he laughed. "This is Israel, not England. If you want service, you need to want it more than everyone else." The language barrier was particularly entertaining. I'd studied Hebrew for years, but apparently my British accent made everything sound like I was asking for permission rather than making statements. The barista stared at me. "Are you ordering coffee or proposing marriage? Just say what you want." The bureaucratic differences were staggering. British bureaucracy is slow but predictable, like a steam train that runs late but eventually arrives. Israeli bureaucracy is like a Formula One race, where the rules change mid-lap and everyone's arguing about which direction the track goes. At the Ministry of Interior, I brought my carefully organized folder with tabs, color coding, and backup copies of everything. "Very nice," said the clerk, barely glancing at my masterpiece of organization. "But you need Form 47B. "I have Form 47A, I replied, consulting my meticulously labeled index. "That was last month's form. This month we use 47B. It's completely different. How is it different? The title is in slightly different font. Come back next week. The social differences nearly gave me anxiety. British social interactions follow strict protocols. You make small talk about weather, complain mildly about transport, and carefully avoid personal topics. Israeli social interactions are like emotional strip poker. Within 5 minutes, your new neighbor knows your political views, your relationship status, and why you're really making Aliyah. "So, you're from London?" asked my new Israeli friend at a coffee shop. "Yes, lovely city. Bit rainy, though." "Why did you leave? Are you running from something? Relationship problems? Career issues? Family drama? Tell me everything." I nearly choked on my flat white. "I'm sorry, but we've only just met." "Exactly. So we should get to know each other properly." "What's your biggest fear? What makes you cry? Who broke your heart?" The driving adjustment was lethal. 30 years of driving on the left side of the road, followed by elaborate politeness at every junction. "After you." No, after you." I insist. Meanwhile, Israeli driving is like participating in a contact sport, where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. My first roundabout in Israel was terrifying. I approached carefully, signaling properly, waiting for a polite gap in traffic. Nothing happened. Cars whizzed past like I was invisible. Finally, an Israeli driver pulled up beside me and rolled down his window. "Are you waiting for a personal invitation?" "This isn't a tea party. Go." The most challenging adjustment was learning to complain effectively. British complaining is an art form of subtle dissatisfaction. The service was adequate, I suppose, though one might argue that waiting 47 minutes for a sandwich is perhaps slightly excessive, though I'm sure they were doing their best. Israeli complaining is direct, immediate, and theatrical. This sandwich took 47 minutes. Do you think I have nothing better to do? This is unacceptable. I demand to speak to your manager, your manager's manager, and possibly the Minister of Sandwiches. But here's what's beautiful about making Aliyah from the UK. Once you adjust to the cultural differences, you realize you're living in a country where people actually say what they mean, where sunshine is guaranteed, and where your Jewish identity isn't constantly explained or apologized for. Plus, my British politeness became a novelty. "Look," people would say, "he says please and thank you for everything. It's so charming." Eventually, I found my hybrid identity. British-Israeli. I queue when possible, complain when necessary, drink proper tea at home, and Turkish coffee in public. And I've learned to express strong opinions about politics while still saying sorry when someone bumps into me. That's all for today's episode of Aliyah and Chill. Remember, making Aliyah from the UK teaches you that cultural adjustment is like learning a new language. Eventually you become fluent, but you'll always have an accent. And hey, if navigating Israeli bureaucracy while maintaining British politeness sounds like an impossible contradiction, maybe it's time to call Easy Aliyah's VIP concierge service. We speak both British understatement and Israeli directness. Until next time, keep calm and carry on. But maybe speak up a bit when ordering your coffee.